So yeah, you could rally. Here's the thing: protesting is fine, but you have to basically. A peaceful protest is supposed to come with an asterisk. That, hey, we're showing you our numbers. We're showing you how mad we are peacefully this time. If we don't get what we want, if you ignore us and dismiss us, we're going to come back, and it's not going to be peaceful the second time. So, a peaceful protest is fine as like a step one. You protest, you show your numbers, you show your support, but you don't do anything, and you tell the government, hey, look at, these are the people who support us. We outnumber you significantly. We're not doing anything, violent. We're not threatening anybody, but we're letting you know we're very mad and this is what we want. And if the government's like, yeah, you're a Nazi, we don't want to listen to you, then you riot. Like, you go, okay, we warned you, and that's when you start, and you don't be like fucking black people and start burning down Foot Lockers and AutoZones. You go straight to the government buildings, and only the government buildings. AutoZone didn't do anything to you. Foot Locker didn't deserve any of this bullshit. Don't fucking take it on random businesses. Don't be like the black people. You go to the government buildings, and you burn them down. And you burn down all the cars.
Start with police stations, then fire stations, then leave the ambulances alone.
Well, yeah, or if you're really fucking had it, you basically raid like the army depot and you take all the weapons and you pay the fucking politicians a visit. I mean, they're not invincible. These aren't like fucking superheroes who are bulletproof. They're made of meat and blood, just like you and me. They have addresses and families.
They have addresses and families too, and their address may be like sent into oblivion, but their families aren't.
The thing is like at the end of the day, like politicians used to understand, if you fuck the people hard enough, they just fucking tar and feather you. They have this whole thing where they tar and feather you, and they put you on a fucking rail, and they bring you out of town and dump you on the fucking border. And that was them telling you to get lost, just cover you in tar and feathers and run you out on the rail. And that was how they did it. Like politicians used to know, look, you obviously politicians are going to be corrupt to a point, but when you just literally piss off the entire population, the more humane option is just being tarred and feathered and run out on a rail. That's the humane option. The other options are like, fucking gallows and fucking guillotines and treason. But the problem is, like, the politicians, everybody is so, because of the progressive brainwashing, everybody believes in the power of peaceful protests because you've been told, oh, peaceful protests, look at what they did to the Civil Rights Act and everything. No, that was all like leftist propaganda. The Civil Rights Act had like institutional support. That's why it worked. Peaceful protests against the establishment do not work. But they've told you they would. And they've told you any thought to the contrary, anything other than peaceful protests is unthinkable. So if peaceful protests don't work, just keep trying. Just keep showing up, holding your sign, and then going home and being ignored. And keep doing that. And keep holding your sign. Keep wasting your weekends holding a sign and then cleaning up after yourself. And then eventually, magically, the government will listen to you, even though they ignore you. They're just going to magically listen to you one day. No, they won't. They will not. I promise you, they will not. But here's the thing: it's one thing to be protesting, whatever. But like, we're talking about serious shit. This is a foreign invasion, with not just the approval, but the like. They are arresting people for complaining about it. Like there's a guy in prison in the UK for 10 months for saying these migrants are raping girls, which is fucking verifiably true, and they arrested him for that. For criticizing the migrants for raping little girls. That he's under arrest, going to jail. He's in jail for 10 months for saying that. So your government is not only not protecting you from criminal rapists that they're bringing to the country deliberately, but they're arresting you for complaining about it. I promise you, holding a sign and going home isn't going to do jack shit. waving a flag and spray painting a red cross on a fucking crosswalk isn't going to do jack shit. It's a good first step. You know, like when we're talking about any kind of drastic action, you need to try everything else first. And again, if you think like, people are pussies, not like the founding fathers, they'd be stacking bodies right now. No, they wouldn't. Read the Declaration of Independence. The founding fathers tried the reasonable path for years. They tried to appeal to King George. They tried all the legal recourses. And the king just didn't give a shit. He just ignored them and ignored them and ignored them. And then when the Boston Tea Party happened, he responded with a very heavy hand with what was called the Intolerable Acts, where he was like barging into people's homes and harassing them. And that's what drove the founding fathers to launch a war. But it wasn't like, oh, you want to tax tea? Well, fuck you. We have a war now. That isn't what happened. The founding fathers tried to resolve things peacefully for years. It was only after they were ignored at every turn and the government got increasingly authoritarian that the founding fathers realized there was no other way other than war. And by the way, they turned to France, who was Britain's enemy, for support. And that's just a little foreshadowing. But yeah, I feel bad for what's happening in Europe, and it's going to happen everywhere. It's not going to just be Europe or just the UK. But and look, go to your protest, wave your flag, whatever. I promise you, it's not going to do anything. You're going to be dismissed. If you're peaceful, you're going to be ignored and dismissed. The media won't cover you unless there's a violent incident. And then they'll dismiss you all as a bunch of Nazis and racists and whatever. But if there's no incident, if it's peaceful and everything, they're just going to ignore you. And they'll say it was a small number of racists and xenophobes and anti-immigrant racist people, and they'll simply dismiss you and move on. And they'll force even more rapists down your throat, and your children will be raped, and they'll arrest you for complaining about it, and it'll just keep getting worse. It'll keep getting worse until, just like the founding fathers, you realize that this isn't going to stop until you make it stop. We're not there yet, by the way. We're not even close. Things have to get a lot worse. And the thing is, the average person needs to realize there's nowhere to run to. Like right now, what a lot of white people do is they stay out of the city. You know, it's called white flight for a reason. When white people start to see their neighborhood go to shit, they just leave. They leave, they move to another area, they move out in the suburbs, they move out to like a rural community. They try to just get away from the spreading darkness. And as long as their family is safe, as long as they don't have to deal with the bullshit, even though they know the country is getting worse, as long as it doesn't affect them and theirs, they don't see any reason to get involved. Now, what's happening is between like Section 8 and diversity bullshit and troons going into schools and shooting up kids in Christian schools, what's increasingly happening is people are realizing they can't get away from it. You know, you move out of the city, you move to a nice white majority area, you put your kids in private school, they should be safe from mass shootings, right? You would think. And then some troon comes in and kills your son because, you know, someone
and then that thing
that
the Minneapolis fucking shit happens. You hear about that? Or the
yeah, that's what I'm literally referencing that.
Yeah. So
my point is, there's a couple things that have to happen before we reach like mass fuck it. People, first of all, the problems need to affect essentially everyone. Not literally everyone, but enough people, and they have to realize they can't run. There's nowhere to run to. Moving out of the city, moving to a red state, putting your kids in private school, nothing will protect you. No matter where you go, you're gonna have fucking migrants and rapists and troons murdering your kids and shitting in the street and raping your daughters, and there's nowhere to go and there's nowhere to run, and you try to tell the government, you beg the government to do something, and the government just tells you to go fuck yourself and then arrests you for complaining about it. It's only when the pain of inaction exceeds the pain of action that people will reach fuck it. And let me just explain. I know I use that phrase all the time. Let me explain it. So rising up against the government is a very painful thing. Because even if you win, even if you're completely victorious, the life you knew is probably going to be destroyed forever. The upheaval of a revolutionary war is going to completely destroy the life you knew. And if your primary goal is to just be left alone, you can't win. Either you fight the war and die, or you fight the war and win, and the life you were trying to preserve is gone forever anyway. So people aren't going to do that until the alternative is worse. So people are not going to rise up and try to launch a civil war, because their primary goal, they want the pain to stop. They don't want their children to be raped. They don't want the fucking crime to be out of control. They don't want to be arrested for complaining about the obvious problems in society. But they don't see those issues in and of themselves as worthy of destroying their way of life, which is what a civil war would inevitably do. That's the pain of action. So right now, the pain of action is more painful than the pain of inaction. The pain of inaction is to just ignore the problem, let it get worse, just keep your head down and focus on, whatever, your job, your family, whatever. Eventually, when your daily life is just too directly affected by the bullshit, when your children are being raped, when people are hunting down white people for sport like in South Africa, when there's nowhere to run, then you have to start weighing your options. When the pain of inaction, when doing nothing hurts more than doing something, then people will do something. That's what has to happen. It's the same with weight loss. People who struggle with weight loss, it's because exercise hurts. Saying no to sweet foods when you're hungry hurts. But being fat also hurts. What happens is there's usually some event, like maybe someone makes fun of them, or they weigh themselves and they're 300 pounds, or their pants rip, or some event happens that makes them realize that how fat they are, and they have a painful moment, and they gain the motivation to lose weight because they want to avoid that pain. But then the pain of exercise and diet becomes greater than the pain of being fat, and then they quit their diet and they go back to being fat. That's why people yo-yo diet. That's the mechanism. It's all about trying to avoid pain at all times. And they constantly adjust between diet and exercise and not doing anything to avoid pain. Because both paths are littered with pain. Being fat is painful, exercising is painful. It's all about trying to find the least amount of pain at the moment. What you have to do, though, is you have to basically accept the pain and just soldier through it. But a lot of people can't. The average person is fat. I mean, we have look up any statistics you want. We have an obesity problem because people do not have the willpower to choose the pain. Even though that's diet and exercise is less painful than being morbidly obese. Every fucking statistic proves this, and yet people choose morbid obesity because in the moment it's less painful. That's the average person. So if you, person listening to the sound of my voice, you might be ready to do something because you're probably also not morbidly obese for the same reason. You have seen both paths laid out before you, and you realize that this path, even though it's painful, it's ultimately the right path, and it's ultimately less painful overall. And because you can think like that and you could plan ahead, you are not morbidly obese, and you are ready to do something about this problem today. I'm just going to splash some cold water on you now. The average person is not like you. The average person is fat, has no self-control, and does what is less painful in the moment. They do not plan long-term. They do not think rationally or critically. They just simply try to avoid pain in the moment. Those people will not do anything until the moment the pain of inaction exceeds the pain of action. And unfortunately, there aren't enough of us to succeed. Let me take you back to the Founding Fathers' America. During the 1700s, think about the type of man that came to the New World during the colonial era. These were men who valued freedom, who valued liberty. That's why they were willing to risk everything to find their fortune and found a new nation. The average person stayed in fucking Europe. They didn't want to come to America and deal with fucking Native Americans trying to scalp them and famines and the starving time. They wanted to stay in Europe where it was nice and safe. And once America was built and industrialized, then they came over. But back when America was being settled in the 1700s, those men were built of stronger stuff. So those men reached fuck it a lot sooner than the other people would. Unfortunately, we're not in the 1700s. We're 300 years old, heavily industrialized, and most people are fucking weak. They're not going to do anything. And there aren't enough of us to do anything. So, unfortunately, there's nothing for us to do at the moment. Go ahead and protest if you want. Just make sure you protect your identity. Don't go to anything where a riot could break out or you could be rounded up like what happened on January 6th. Stay away from that shit. But if you want to go and wave a flag, go ahead.
As far as I can see from the footage that I'm getting, nobody is covering themselves. Nobody is covering their faces. And according to somebody who's at a protest right now, basically as soon as the National Socialists took the stage, 50% of people left immediately.
Yeah. So, okay. Look, it's too soon. I understand there are people who are awake and aware, who are forward thinking, who see the problem, and they want to start rallying people to solve the problem sooner rather than later. And you are right to do so. But I'm telling you, the average person will not follow you. It's not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. They're not ready to hear what you have to say. They haven't felt enough pain. You basically, things have to get a lot worse. So unfortunately, you have the same role that I basically have. You're basically going to be early. You're going to be real early. And your role is to basically just warn people about shit. So like in 10 years, when everything you've been warning about for 10 years starts to happen, you can be like, hey, I've been warning about this shit for 10 years. Then maybe they'll listen to you. And yeah, would it be better if they had listened to you 10 years ago? Absolutely. But they're not going to. And I just explained why. So this is why I say there's nothing to do but prepare and support each other. That's all we can do. We're not going to organize. We're not going to fucking riot. We're not going to overthrow the government. We're not going to do any of those things. And anyone who tries to do those things, everyone around them will stab them in the back. And they will be killed by the government. And they will be brutally made an example of. And you will accomplish literally nothing. And everyone on your side will denounce you and distance themselves from you. And everyone will reject everything you stand for. So don't do that. Do not throw your life. First of all, if you are one of the, not retarded, Ubermensch, high IQ, whatever, your life is worth more than that. Don't throw your life away for nothing. You need to live because, look, you're going to be needed when things actually pop off. But they're not going to pop off yet. Things have to get much worse. I wish it weren't so. I'm not saying this because it's the way I like things to be, or this is the way things I wish, should be. This is the way things are. This is just how people are. The average normie is a fucking stupid animal that does what is less painful in the moment. And that's why they're fat. That's why they have no willpower. That's why they do what feels good and ruin their life. That's just the average person. The average person, that's who they are. So, unfortunately, if you want any kind of, movement, you need the average person to basically be ready for change. And they're not ready for change. As long as there's a path of least resistance that doesn't involve any type of extreme action, they're going to seek that path of less resistance. So they're going to move out of the city. They're going to homeschool. They're going to put their kids in private school. They're going to do everything else before they rise up and do anything drastic against the government. And things are going to get worse. Now, had BRICS not been a thing, if the Ukraine war had not happened, I would be extremely black-pilled about this. Because at the end of the day, the regime is, and I've talked about this for years, like back in the day before Ukraine even happened. I talked about how the regime was building a trap. And the trap was going to be digital ID, CBDC, and gun control. And when those three things were basically completed, the trap would be closed and essentially revolution would be impossible. So even if they started squeezing us and oppressing the shit out of us, once you have digital ID and CBDC and gun control, you can't do shit. You're just a slave at that point. And I was pretty black-pilled. I'm like, okay, it's time to like fuck off into the woods and kind of hope for the best, because like it's fucked at that point. But then Ukraine happened, and now BRICS is winning, and fucking the regime is on the back foot, and the Great Reset is canceled. CBDC, they're trying to push like they've kind of given up on CBDC. They're trying to push like stablecoin, but they're not even doing this for any kind of like world domination, enslavement agenda. They're literally doing it because China isn't buying their bonds anymore, and they need to create another market to offload U.S. bonds. And so they want to promote stablecoins simply to buy themselves more time. They have no plan to actually win. They're fucked. They're just trying to buy themselves time and buy Israel time. So now I've gone from being very black-pilled, how like we're going to be slaves, fuck off into the woods and hope for the best, there's nothing else to do, or fuck off to Asia or something. But now I'm extremely optimistic. Extremely optimistic. The only thing that I was worried about before was like the possibility of nuclear war or the possibility of Russia or China cucking some kind of grand bargain for Israel. But that ship has sailed. That's over. That's not happening. So there's really no way the regime wins.
The shit that Halsey was trying to whisper into your ear, you don't believe it's going to happen anymore?
Oh, I mean that already didn't happen.
He's lying.
No, he's okay. No, Halsey's not lying. Halsey has a bias, but he also has a lot of information from people who are connected to that side of the political aisle. So he's definitely worth listening to. He has good insights, and he's very knowledgeable about that side of the debate. And I like to know what the other side is thinking, because look, I'm biased too. I'm pro BRICS, not because I want to live in China or Russia, but I want the regime to fail because they want to enslave me and turn me into livestock. So I prefer if that didn't happen. So in the multipolar world, there's going to be more opportunities for freedom for everyone. And so I support that. I don't want to live in Russia and China, though. Anyway, the point is you have to know your enemy and know yourself. And if you are pro-regime, pro-Israel, pro all that stuff, you might have information that I don't have access to or has flown under my radar that I'm not aware of. And I want to know that information. I want to know what the other side is thinking to know like if they have a point or if they're just coping. But I want to know. I want to know what's going on, because you have to know your enemy. You have to know yourself. I don't consider Halsey my enemy or anything. I'm talking like the regime that wants to enslave. But that's over. I'm telling you, it's over. BRICS has won. There isn't a goddamn thing the regime can do. They've been defeated at every turn. If they try to start another war with Iran, they're going to find out. The only possible war I could see possibly going the regime's way is the Lebanon civil war. But that's an open question. That's not like a slam dunk. Oh, the government of Lebanon is going to fucking destroy Hezbollah easily. Because remember what happened with Yemen? Whatever happened with fucking, with Russia and all these other countries. We constantly underestimate our opponents. And we also underestimate the level that BRICS supports each other. We just assume that BRICS is a fair weather economic union and they'll throw each other into the bus. But like the thing is, Russia and China have already articulated this, especially China. China knows that they're on the target list. Like they know that if Russia falls, China's next. And there's even a guy who's like a Chinese foreign minister that was giving an interview. And he said that China will not allow Russia to fall. Because if Russia falls, China knows they're next. So they will support Russia all the way, because Russia is basically standing in between them and the United States. And this is like a Chinese foreign minister saying this. So that's what the Chinese are doing. And they're also successfully conducting economic war against the United States, pushing our shit in where we're most vulnerable, which is our tech sector, which is the only sector we realistically have, because there's only two sectors of the economy that essentially drive the entire American economy. That's Wall Street and Silicon Valley. We have financial instruments and we have tech. Well, China, they're replacing our financial monopoly with BRICS, And they are replacing our tech monopoly with their tech sector, which is currently pushing our shit in. So they've won. And Trump, he talked all this shit about tariffs and whatever, and he keeps backing down because China has all the leverage and America doesn't. So we're now on our second 90-day extension of the tariffs because Trump can't win. He can't win. He has no fucking leverage. There's nothing he can offer China. And China knows that America wants to go to war with them. So they have no reason whatsoever to cooperate or to think that, like, this is going to lead to anything other than war. So why would they want to give them a win? They just keep pushing. Keep hitting America where it hurts until they collapse. And as soon as they collapse up economically, that's the end of their empire. That's the end of the wars. That's the end of support for Israel. It all ends when America can no longer afford it. And China is doing more than anyone to make that happen. They're basically like Russia's kicking our ass on the battlefield, but China's kicking our ass on the world stage and economically. That's where all the growth is. We're propped up with market manipulation and fake government reports. China's actually growing. And I remember for years, like, oh, the Chinese economy, it's about to collapse. I'm like, you're full of shit. And it didn't. It did not collapse, did it? And they're like, oh, China's in a bubble. Like, fuck you, you lying piece of shit. Oh, it's so annoying. And look, I'm an American. I don't want to see like America, suffer. But the country of America needs to basically shake the parasites off of its carcass. And the only way to do that is through a very painful economic decline and the loss of our empire, most likely a civil war, and a healthy dose of hyperinflation. I don't see another way. I would love it. I would love it if Trump actually did what the goddamn people elected him to do, what he literally ran on. That would have been great, wouldn't it? But, oops, it was all a fucking lie. He fucking cares more about fucking protecting pedophiles and hooking up Israel than anything else. So that was kind of our last chance. Trump he wasn't just a political outsider. He was a assassination attempt survivor. Like, they fucking raided his house and arrested him and tried him on a bunch of bullshit. Like, he had every reason to actually drain the swamp, to actually do what the people elected him to do. And everybody was like, yes, Trump's going to be president. I mean, they tried to kill him. They arrested him. He's going to fucking drain the swamp. He's going to show them what for. He's going to fix these problems. And then what did he do? He just got on his knees and sucked Netanyahu's dick for 6 months. Just gulp for 6 goddamn months. And he's still sucking Netanyahu's dick. What is he doing for America? Nothing. So fucking tiresome. So, okay, we tried it that way. We have a few more things to try. But eventually, we're gonna come to the same conclusion that the Founding Fathers came to. We tried everything, and you just kept fucking around, and you just kept pissing us off, and eventually we're gonna reach fuck it. But we're not there yet. I'm sorry, we're not there yet. I understand you might be aware, you might be ready to do something. I'm telling you, people, the average person is not ready to do anything yet. We'll get there, but it's gonna take time. It's gonna take a lot more people dying. And it sucks. I wish it weren't so. I truly wish it weren't so. But I've used this analogy before. When you're like morbidly obese, and I've seen this happen personally. This is even before Ozempic. There was this person who, they were always fat. They never had the willpower to lose weight. They would just waddle everywhere. And then they had a heart attack. Now, they survived the heart attack, but that heart attack scared the shit out of them. All of a sudden, all those warnings of all those doctors telling them if you don't lose weight, you're going to die, it all hit home because they were literally dead for like a number of minutes before they were revived. They realized if they don't lose weight, they are actually going to die. And they actually felt what that was going to be. And so they somehow, after dying and being revived and having a heart attack, they found the willpower to live. They found the willpower to lose weight, and they went on like a water and salad diet for like a year, and they lost like, I don't know, like 200 some odd pounds, and they basically turned into an entirely different person. And this is before Ozempic. This was just salad and water and willpower and vitamins, and they lost a shit ton of weight. And it was great, good for them. But they had to literally die before they found the willpower to say no to cookies and cake and ice cream. And that's human nature. You have to reach your rock bottom, and everybody has a different rock bottom. You know, there's the old saying, you have to lose everything to be capable of anything. That's unfortunately the case. So, I mean, you know, go ahead and wave your flag and protest and make your voice heard, sign your petitions and all that fun shit. Don't do anything illegal. Don't join any militias. Don't go to anything that could be misconstrued as a riot or whatever. Recognize that it's too soon for that. It's too soon for that. If you go to those places, you're going to get put on a fucking terrorism watch list. You're going to get rounded up and thrown in jail. If you want to peacefully protest, I don't recommend that. But if you really just want to show your solidarity, be my guest. But, you know, if you see anything sketchy, get the fuck out of there. Don't stick around if anything happens. And just recognize that we're not there yet. Things have to get worse. And yeah, you know, when you hear about, you know, gang rapes and kids being killed, and you're like, oh man, this is bullshit. We got to do something. How many more kids need to die? I don't know. I don't have an exact number, but more kids need to die. People need to realize they can't vote their way out of this. They can't move their way out of this. They can't just move out into the country and homeschool their kids and avoid this. The pain of inaction has to exceed the pain of action. They have to reach fuck it. And we're just not there yet. So all we can do in the meantime, while we wait for that to happen, as we wait for the thing to get worse, is we have to prepare and support each other. And preparing means, you know, getting in shape, you know, strengthening your body, strengthening your mind, making connections, meeting your neighbors, you know, maybe don't join a militia. But, you know, there was a super chat last stream where someone was asking about getting involved in local politics. That's a good idea. Getting involved in your local politics, you know, join the Rotary Club or join the Mason Lodge or something like that to get involved in local politics. Not a bad idea. Make connections. But, like, don't start, like, you know, fucking building an arsenal and, you know, welding your killdozer. Don't do anything that's going to, you know, get you arrested. We're probably, I know I'm bad at timing, but we're probably still about a decade away before things really start popping off. Like, things just have to get a lot worse. I hope I'm wrong. I hope people actually start fucking demanding change and normies wake up and the government starts listening. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But I just don't see that happening. So, but we'll see. But in the meantime, just be careful. Don't dox yourself. Don't be stupid. If you go to a protest, you know, disguise yourself somehow. I don't know. Do something. Or just don't go. I don't recommend going to protests. I used to be part of the Tea Party back in the day, and it was a giant waste of time. So I don't recommend protesting personally, but if you want to, you know, show your support, just get the fuck out of there if anything starts to look sketchy. That's my advice. And just do the best you can to stay safe as things slowly get worse. And eventually, look, we'll get there. We will get there. I have faith in people. When they're pushed far enough, we will fix things. I'm very optimistic about the future, but we're not ready to fix things yet. Like, I talk about we got to get through the winter to get to the spring. And it's actually appropriate because it's Labor Day. We're entering the fall. So we're basically entering early fall. Like, we're in the late summer, early fall. We haven't even entered the winter yet, okay? We have to get through the winter to get to the spring. We're not even at the winter yet. We're at the fall. Things are going to get colder. Things are going to get chillier, but it's not winter yet, okay? People aren't going to do anything until it's winter. So I don't want to, now I'm not trying to demoralize you or blackpill you. I'm not telling you this because I want you to give up. I'm just telling you it's too early. So go ahead and like wake up who you can, but recognize that you're not going to wake up the average person. The average person is just trying to avoid pain. And you talking about revolution and whatever, Fed posting and shit like that, you're scaring them because they don't want that. They just want the pain to stop. So they're not going to listen. They're not going to join you. They're not ready. They'll get there, like when their kids are raped, when their kids are shot in a private school by a fucking troon, then they'll join you. But they're not going to join you yet. It's too early. But we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. We just have to experience a lot more pain. And it sucks. But we have to reach a critical mass of people who reach fuck it. Who basically have to be driven to that point through pain. And there's no point getting angry at people. There's no point. It just is what it is. We're just, again, look at the obesity problem. People know they should lose weight. People want to lose weight. It's not a matter of wanting to be, like if they had a magic lamp and they could wish to be skinny and fit, they would. They're not fat because they hate, the idea of being fit and in shape. It's just they're avoiding pain. That's it. We don't have a stupidity problem. They don't lack information. They're aware of the problem. The problem is they're weak. And the only cure for the cure for weakness isn't knowledge. Like putting the nutritional information on the package doesn't stop obesity. People don't lack information. They're weak. The only cure for weakness is pain. People need to be driven away from weakness through pain. The pain of inaction has to exceed the pain of action. So if you're exercising and you're getting in shape and you're preparing, good. I'm glad. Recognize that you are the exception. But you're a very important exception because you are the ones who are going to lead in the future. You're like the good guys. You're the alphas. You're the Ubermensch. So do not throw your life away. You're too important to throw your life away. Just prepare. We'll get there. Maybe in like 10 years or so. I don't know. A little hyperinflation will go a long way. A little stagflation or depression, a little hyperinflation, that'll really light the fire under people's asses. So, we'll get there. But that's what's coming. So, but yeah, the whole like the flag of England shit and the protests and the rallies, it's not going to do anything. It's not. And worst case scenario, there's going to be somebody doing something stupid at these rallies, and that's all the media's going to talk about. Talking about how this was like a Nazi rally, and they're going to show the same footage of this one guy acting stupid and doing something retarded, and that's going to be the face of the whole. Like, remember the QAnon shaman, the guy wearing the fucking bullhorn headdress with his face paint? He was like the face of the January 6th thing because he was so ridiculous. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to find some ridiculous person to shine a spotlight on. And they're going to make that the face of these protests. And then all of your valid concerns about grooming gangs and rape and violence and crime, they're all going to get swept under the rug. And everyone's going to talk about this ridiculous dumbass with his fucking bull headdress and his face paint. And that's going to be the face of your protest movement. And then everyone's going to laugh at you. And then if you commit any crimes, then they're going to hunt you down and call you terrorists and insurrectionists. And unfortunately, that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at this isn't the beginning. This isn't like the beginning of the war. No, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We'll get there, but it's going to take years of pain and poking and suffering and rape and murder and dead people. And it's going to take a lot more. And I don't say that because that's what I want to happen. I'm saying that because that's what That's what like human nature and common sense and history and reality tell me will happen. But we'll get there. We will get